Hello everyone. How are you all doing today? I'm here in Buskirk, Kentucky on a little mountain called Radio Hill. And before I get into this video, I will give you a little context on why they call this Radio Hill. Sometime between the 40s and the 60s, I'm really not sure on the date, there used to stand a large building here where this cell phone tower is that hosted a radio station called the We Love Jesus Christ radio station. Now, I'm not entirely sure when they stopped airing on the radio. I want to say the mid-90s to early 2000s, but I could certainly be incorrect. And this building actually burned down about a year ago, believe it or not, maybe 2 years ago. It was while I was at Marshall studying social studies. But I used to ride the school bus from my house every single day across this little mountain. And I would see that building. There's actually a funny story. When I was a real little kid in elementary school, I used to think there was a ghost in the top right window on the second story, and I always thought it had red eyes creeping at me. I actually, looking back, it was probably just an optical illusion or a reflection, maybe the bus lights or something. But it's funny how a kid's imagination works. But it's crazy that that's not there no more. But this was the side of it. It was up here on this hill, exactly where this cell phone tower is today. But that's not what we're entirely here for. Today I'm going to show you two very significant graves that a lot of people, especially locals, aren't aware of, aren't aware that they're here. It's a common misconception that Sid Hatfield is buried in McDowell County. Many students I've had and many tourists or people asking me questions about the history of this stuff, relating to the Matewan Massacre, typically ask me about Sid Hatfield. But that's not the only person we're going to be visiting today. We're also going to take a peek at Cabell Testerman. Okay? Now, Cabell Testerman was the mayor of Matewan around 1920. I believe he was well into his term, but I could be incorrect. But he was the mayor of Matewan during the Great Matewan Massacre. He was the first individual killed during the fight, and rumor has it that to this day, nobody knows who shot Cabell Testerman. Now, I don't want to talk too much about rumors. However, that being said, it has been speculated before that Sid Hatfield might have had something to do with the death of Cabell Testerman. And today, both of their bodies lay side by side in this cemetery in Buskirk. I will look for that cemetery and document it so that you can see it. So I'll be right back with you. All right, we're here. We are right on it. So the first one I'm going to show you is Cabell Testerman. And this is his grave, guys. And this is where the first body that was killed during the Matewan Massacre took place. From this view here, I don't know if you can see it, but that building in between those trees there, see if I can get my finger to point it out, that building there, behind that building is where the Matewan Massacre took place. The original layout of Matewan was entirely different than you know it today, with areas like Warm Holler serving a much more significant role in the development of the town's economy and government, as well as many houses that are no longer there, many of them wiped out by floods. But anyway, the geography of the town has changed majorly in the past century. But here lies Cabell C. Testerman. He was born in 1882, and he died in 1920 after he was shot by allegedly either Sid Hatfield or a Baldwin Felts detective agent. Nobody knows to this day who fired the shot that killed him, and nobody knows to this day who fired on either side. But this is Cabell Testerman's grave. Again, he was a mayor during the battle, during the Matewan Massacre, and the Matewan Massacre eventually paved the light for the Battle of Blair Mountain, which is another very significant battle in the Union Wars, is what I call them, that took place here in southern West Virginia. So he's buried here. He was born in New York, somehow managed to get here, likely on the same train tracks that are over there. And he came and was very significant to preserving the Union and helping loosen on labor restrictions at the time. So he was very significant. A lot of people don't know this, but Henry Ford actually lived in Hardy, Kentucky, which is not even 10 miles away from here, around the same time that he was down here fighting strenuous labor battles and working in legislation to help miners who they felt were being mistreated by private employers. On top of Cabell Testerman's grave, it's common for people to leave things. Looks like right here there's been 2 things left. I'm going to show you what's been left. I think this is a 2022 quarter. Yep, and it says on the back, let me see. The camera to focus. Anna Mae Wong. The other one here looks like some script. It's actually, no, this is a Malaysian coin. Ain't that cool? From Malaysia. Laid here in his honor. I put those back up there. And right here beside of him stands Sid Hatfield's grave. When I first discovered this, I couldn't believe that he was buried here. And I won't step on his grave, but down here you see a bullet shell, some handcuffs, and some other coins that are significant. It says, "We will never forget. His murder triggered the miners' rebellion at the Battle of Blair Mountain. Defender of the rights of working people, gunned down by the Felts detectives on the step of McDowell County Courthouse in Welch, West Virginia during the Great Mine Wars. He was born on May 15th, 1893 and died on August 1st, 1921. He was about 28 years old when he died. Cabell C. Testerman was almost 40. He was about 38 years old. This is very significant in the history of both Matewan and all other surrounding areas. And this here is a plaque dedicated to him, dedicated to the memory of Sid Hatfield for distinguished service and self-sacrifice in the cause and labor and advancement of the United Mine Workers of America. These 2 individuals left a major impact on our little town down there. And I bet they will never, ever, ever understand how big their impact was, not just on southern West Virginia, but on the United States as a whole. It was these battles that helped introduce the 40-hour work week. It was these battles that introduced sick pay. And it started the ball running for equal rights among everyone, regardless of skin color, race, or gender. So it's very significant piece of history here. So I just thought I'd bring you up here to show you, down in this very rural area, rest two very, very historically significant individuals for, again, not just southern West Virginia, but the entire United States. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll show you one more little thing. Just down here where this mini mall stands, about right there in that area there, stood the Buskirk not the elementary school, the one-room schoolhouse, and that was one of the earlier schools in this area. Down here in this general area is where Matewan High School, when it was first built in the early 1910s or late mid 1910s, this is where they played their first sport games, right down here, before O'Brien Park was built, which is now the location of Matewan Pre-K-8. So Buskirk and Matewan have both had worked together hand in hand, kind of tongue-in-cheek, for their community, despite being separated by the Tug River and being in different states. But I thought that would be interesting to share with you guys. Of course, now Matewan High School is no longer open. All the schools in this area have consolidated into two high schools, Mingo Central High and Tug Valley High. But at one point, you know, there was over 6 high schools in Mingo County. This is where Matewan played some of their first games, where this gas station is and some of these little homes. So I just thought that would be interesting to document. There also was an old road here, which was the way to get to a town called Blackberry City on this mountain. That was changed in around 1996 after the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers came and constructed our flood wall here as a result of the major floods that affected and wiped out the town, especially throughout 77. So I just thought I'd share this with you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. It's a beautiful gravesite. You can tell it's taken well care of, and it was really nice to come up here. I'm gonna get away from these side-by-sides. There's a lot of tourism going on around this season. It's starting to warm up a little bit, despite it being February. A lot of people like to ride in the winter, especially on these warm days. A lot of locals that have ATVs and side-by-sides. But I thought I would share these little stories with you just to kind of reminisce and document it. I really hope you enjoyed it. So I'm gonna get back to my car now and get warm. Give you a little rundown of how the placement of this town once looked. Where the Matewan Depot stands today stood about 6 or 7 houses. A small neighborhood was there. Here in town, a lot of these buildings that are standing today were here during the Matewan Massacre. I'll give you a run through of some of them. This building stood, it was built about 1920 roughly, the hospital. But what I'm mainly looking for is right over here. I'm gonna signal here and show you exactly where I'm at. It's these buildings here I'm concerned about more than anything. If we turn down this holler, little alley here, you can see this street here, which used to be where the main road was. Where I'm at right now is where the Matewan Massacre took place. This is where Cabell Testerman died. Sid Hatfield was also here, and this is where the entire battle took place, in this very street here. All right, the last thing I'm going to show you of a little bit of the changes in the geography of this town over time is right here where I'm standing. This is the old Matewan Underpass. Back in the day, this road here used to route right there and travel through this grass, and you would go under that underpass. We're actually gonna walk up to it. I'm gonna give you a little close-up of it while there ain't no trains coming. It's been converted into an art piece to depict a coal mine, which I think is beautiful. There actually is another underpass right there that was for pedestrians only, but it's really hard to get a view of it with the fence. A lot of people think that these were filled in, but as you can see, it's kind of different out here. It was built in 1923. A lot of coal trucks have gotten stuck in it. It was closed in 1996 when they built this flood wall here. So there's a good look at it. This is the Matewan Underpass.